Good evening and welcome to another Monday Night Live. Happy New Year, everyone. This is a regular little show that we do Monday, 6 p.m. Simon and I bring you all of the latest insights into the world of golf, whether it be custom fitting, a bit of coaching, and anything else you want to talk about. And heckle us while you're at it. How was New Year's Eve for you? Anything late?
Unremarkable.
Was it?
Yeah, New Year's Eve has never been a big, I think the last time I went out was the Millennium.
Yeah. Has the food dried up at home? You bought a lot in, haven't you?
Not quite. I got given a lot, so you still kind of feel duty bound to eat it.
Yeah.
So yes, not good. Yeah.
Well, we've got, as usual, the discs here. We've got the iPads on Good Golf Coaching and Precision Golf's YouTube channels. We've got James mixing the discs from behind the camera, and we're taking all your questions all evening long. We've got lots of already thrown in some questions, so we'll get on to those in a second. Hideki Matsuyama, 35 under par. How's your luck? You shoot 32, who Colin did, and you finished second.
Yeah, I mean...
remarkable scoring.
The course is always the one that's got the top 5, I think it is now, the scoring records for Tour. Now, it doesn't mean that it's easy and we're all going to shoot 7 under a handicap, but because these guys are playing the equivalent of, plus 10. But that's still ridiculous. I mean, basically 9 under a round.
Yeah, I mean, I defy anyone to go out on their golf course in the summer, play off the reds, if you're a gent, which is probably 1,500 yards, 1,200 yards short. Yeah, way forwards and see how low you can go, because it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I peg it up at the front edge of the fairway on every hole. You still wouldn't shoot that.
No, absolutely.
I mean, to do it and across 4 rounds, I mean, there are 4 or 5 of them, where 3 of them were 30 under or better. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it would be amiss of us to not thank everyone that took part in our 2-hour live show that we did just before Christmas. We had the mighty Charlie Hull and Todd Clements join us in the studio with 40-odd guests that came along to watch. We are going to make that a bit of a quarterly theme over the year. I think that would be something that everyone would enjoy, and hopefully we can up the guests as the channel gets a little bit bigger. And if on that note, feel free to like and subscribe. Let's get into the questions. That's why you're all here, whittling on about other stuff. We've got Steve Coachley, evening all. I hope you had a good break. Building up a half set for when I travel with work, playing CT115s in my gamers. What is a more economical equivalent for a second set?
I think if you're looking to do it on a good value, you're similar without being too different. KBS Tour 110, that's going to be pretty similar. It's a stock shaft in pretty much everything. It's a little bit lighter, slightly different balance point, but it's going to be as close as you can get without having to go to an upcharge shaft.
Very good, very good. We are on air for an hour, and we like to keep it a nice strict 1 hour. So if you have any questions, get them in nice and early. That way we get to them. We've got Morvs. Thank you, Simon. Yesterday, I took out my Diamana TB you recommended that I replace my Denali Black with. Biggest miss was right rough. Shot a 79, breaking 80 for the very first time. There you go.
Yeah, that was a relief.
Yeah, good job.
Could have gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, good
well
job.
played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dean B. Golf, Happy New Year to you all. Happy New Year to you. I would like to try graphite shafts in my irons. Any suggestions to replace AMT white, please? I'm looking for a bit lighter.
So AMT white, roughly 110 to 115, I think, or maybe slightly heavier. So depends how much lighter you want to go. And you can drop a few grams to go to something like steel fiber, I-110. If they're the AMTs, they're not too tip heavy. So kind of something around the 9,500 gram. Again, steel fiber I-95, that would certainly work as an option. I could do the TZIs, which go 75, 95, 115. Those would certainly be an option with a bit more feel in the tip. I mean, there are quite a few. So you've got Graphite Design do them, KBS do them. Obviously, you've got Fuji with the Axioms do them. So there are an awful lot to choose from. My recommendation would be find somewhere to test some, because you could get it slightly wrong and be horribly wrong going from steel to graphite. So do give them a test, but probably something around the 100, 105 gram mark.
Kev T, Happy New Year to you both. What differences would it make if I extended my irons by 1 inch? I have KBS light shafts. Thank you.
Likely is that the swing rate's going to go up about 5 to 6 swing weight points. So it's not absolute. It doesn't make them an absolute sledgehammer, but they will be noticeably heavier in the head. So depending on the heads you've got, if they're a Callaway, they could swing weight heavy anyway. If you've got a Ping, then you've got weights in the toe, you can readjust those as well. Some of the Callaway heads have a weight in the back actually as well. So depending on the heads, you can redress some of that and or use a slightly heavier grip, depending on what grip you're using as well. But it will make the swing weight quite a lot heavier.
Flanker Jack from my channel. That's a cracking, cracking handle. Happy New Year to you, Flanker Jack. Alan Cook, could you explain more on the video where you pulled the broom to your left, how this relates to the downswing? You're going to need to give me a bit more insight on that, what part of that you want me to go into. Mike T, Happy New Year, gents. Is the Vanquish stock shaft offered by Callaway Eli, how are we pronouncing that? Elite, okay. Driver the same as the aftermarket version?
Absolutely not, no. No, it's a variant of, it won't be as high grade materials. It's a bit like the Denali, that's a stock one. There is a kind of the TX of the Denalis is a different structure, and that's the one they're using on tour. So the Vanquish that they're using is a based on the same shaft, but it is lower grade materials. Same way that the Tensei Pro series versus the AV versus the Tensei Pro series. It's that kind of similar kind of.
Mike T, Happy New Year. I've just done that one. 1 second. Excuse me. Want to just have a sneeze? No, we're okay. We're okay. Hold it, everyone. Hold it, everyone.
That's the dramatic walk-off.
Sad says, best irons in your opinion? Thank you. Good question. Simple.
I was going to say, depends what for, but in my opinion, for my game, I still love the mirrors from a purity point of view.
Simple.
Classic.
Like
blades.
it. Classic, yeah, classic, yeah. Robin Morton, a great Christmas and Google show, guys. There are 3 still ball games. Can you name them?
3 still ball games.
Can you name them? There are 3.
As in the ball doesn't move and the player moves.
Are they going to develop zero torque drivers? 3 still ball games. Can you name them?
Well, I was going to say snooker, golf, and what would be? Croquet. Very good. James called that one. Interesting enough. Were they all thought up in these lands?
Croquet.
Croquet's got to be British, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, only the British thing.
Swings something through
like
there.
And it's a vindictive game as well, so it must have been thought up.
Oh, hang on. Oh no.
Zero torque drivers. There was a part about zero torque drivers.
Yes. Are they going to bring in zero? You don't want zero torque drivers.
It is something. There was a head a while back where it was almost like a centre shaft putter kind of installation to the head, but that hasn't taken off. There are kind of instances of almost sort of face balanced hosels, like Cleveland did the VAS. More Golf have done a hosel which sat kind of in and forward a little bit. Driver-wise, you wouldn't get as much club speed, and you don't get the same kind of gearing. I think the effect on a heel strike on the inside contact would be magnified. So it would have been something that would have been investigated, and they would absolutely have done the kind of the models on it. So if it were going to be done, it would have already been done in some shape or form.
We've got a lot of questions coming. Liking it. That
It's a fair part of how to practice, you see.
BMC 112 is tuned in from sunny Basra.
Ooh,
I don't think we've had
that's a first, isn't it?
That is definitely a first. Flanker Jack, in regards to pressure on the handle during the downswing, is there a particular direction or target I should be feeling, like the inside of my thigh or outside of my trail leg? So you got to appreciate that this club head is moving in all different directions. Remember, when you're starting to move the golf club, as you're starting to pull it, that club head is immediately trying to pull itself to the floor. Whether you're pulling it from crossed over, most common, you don't really get that many people that have it extremely laid off. So most of the time, the club head is trying to lift the handle up. So the force in the handle is really coming down to your foot line would be the best way, but you've got to make sure that you want to feel like your left forearm is going to have enough external rotation in it so that you can feel like you can push the force down and allow the club head to line itself up. So a good little drill is exactly what I've just done there. Put it in your left hand and feel how that club can fall over the top of the handle as you push the handle down to your toe line is a really good point to almost caught it.
Nearly.
Almost caught
Nearly.
it. I think that's my first drop, actually. I think that's my first drop.
Yeah?
I think that's my first drop. Let's go back to after a couple of on there.
Blame
Let's
the
go.
beef and the turkey for not getting it in time.
You move like a cat then. Look,
A lame one. Yeah.
this particular chap has changed his handle on YouTube so that I can't not call him this. The Yorkshire Blade.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. Stuart, brilliant vid on the plane, buddy. A broken shaft in a box. I know, who knew? Simon, is the QI35 review out tomorrow?
Unfortunately not, because TaylorMade, the guys, they couldn't get their samples to us over the new year to film with. So as soon as we get ours in, and I can get the tech info tomorrow, in fact, sadly, a few of the brands actually I think have not been that efficient with getting information to us. I know embargoes are lifting this week, next week, but in previous years they've been far better at getting the information to us prior to embargo to do the recordings to release them on embargo date. But this year, not so good. So, but as soon as we get them, we're in the process of filming, doing Strixon's one tomorrow. That'll be released as soon as we can, post-edit. And the same will be the case with TaylorMade once we get those products in.
There's video cameras flying around this studio more than ever before now, isn't there? It's good to see. It's good to see. Bringing you all the content you want to see. Matt M, evening all. Hope the festive period was good for all. When is the expected ZXi Strixon range due to be released to you guys for fittings?
So embargo will lift, I think it's around the 13th, 14th. It's one of those 2 days. And then we will have our fitting kits in from mid-month, potentially sometime that week. And then the full product release is the very end of Jan.
BMC 112, who's from Basra, he says, Happy New Year, lads, and Happy New Year
And
to you
too, yeah.
Stu Brister, good evening, gents. Happy New Year. Hope you enjoyed the Christmas break. We certainly did. Early thoughts on the G280 mini driver, better or worse for people who struggle with 3-woods?
I mean, that one, whereas other products we've seen and hit them have seen the info on the product. I need to be careful what I do and don't say based on embargoes and things still with that one, because we're still about a week, 10 days away from most of them lifting. But that one, it is a smaller head, so more likely to be better for someone who hits it more like a fairway would, as a guess based on the scale of the head. But we shall see. I'll be able to test it hopefully pretty soon.
Darren Cope, I have a very flat arm path and don't get much hand height in my backswing. My trail elbow gets quite behind me at the top. What are your main problems with this, if any? I would go immediately with a bit of posture, and I would immediately start to think about the shape that you're seeing in the sky. Alter the shape you're seeing in the sky. You're probably seeing it bend a long way left. So I would offset that first, because if it is bending a long way left, because when you have a shallow arm path, it means the club's approaching from the inside, which means you must be having too much shape to the left. So to get the arm lift a bit more, you'd need to have a less closed face to path. So I'd go with, again, I would look at where your grip is. It could be strong, could be weak, just depends how you move that around. But I would immediately go with a bit of setup and then check your face to path and look for things online that are going to offset the face to path. If you go check out, I've done loads of videos on face to path, that is. Jamie Frazier, thoughts on lie angle when fitting? Would you place more value on starting direction or players' general miss over perhaps how much the club is toe down or toe up at impact when measured?
It's a combination of things. Obviously, someone's general posture and requirements from a dynamic impact position point of view. We'd like to get it as neutral as possible, and then you're using the lie to just slightly gear away from the direction of shot shape. So someone who overdraws it, you can flatten the lie degree and a half to just try to kind of essentially at start line a little bit of gearing, starts a hair further right and gears a little bit less draw shape if you're heavily into out, and vice versa, right out to in. So it does a bit of both, but you're only using it as if you've exhausted all other options, you're using it to fine tune it. It can, in the lofted irons, it can make quite a big difference though. So because as the loft goes up, it has more of an influence. But you're using that as it's a combination of both, but it's really going to be start line more than anything else.
There is 100 of you watching. We would love 100 likes. It would help share this little stream that we do on a Monday Night Live, and it would really let us get some super duper guests into the channel. So if you can, give it a little bit of a like and a share. That would be really appreciated while you're here. Morvs, when can we expect the Mizuno JPX 925 Tour release? Love my 921 tours, but would like to try and refresh.
So I'm not aware of a 925 Tour being released this year. I'm trying to remember which day, but Mizuno, their embargo's lifting over the next 3 or 4 days. The irons are today, tomorrow, Wednesday. There is another line being launched, which I think takes over what the Tour would have been. I've got to be careful not to say its name, but it is a kind of a Mizuno Pro model that closely resembles what the Tour would have been. But that would be your option this year rather than a dedicated 925 Tour head.
Andrew Hommant, Happy New Year, chaps. Happy New Year to you, Andrew. Welcome back. Thank you. When are the next What's in the Bag videos coming? Loving my new Srixon ZX75 combo set and Cleveland wedges. Thanks again for the sensational service. See you in January to finish the bag.
Well, thank you for the treats you brought in as well, very kind of you. Next What's in the Bag, we've got a few videos. This month is going to be pretty heavy with the product reviews and things, but we're going to try and disperse one more of those at the latter part of the month, maybe beginning of February. So maybe by February time we'll have another one coming in.
ChatGPT, Simon, my goat. You are Simon's, no, you are ChatGPT's greatest of all time.
Well, I might be a goat as well.
Papa B, hello, young gurus. Gurus.
Oh, it's an updated phrase for the new year.
I know. I switched from DG120 to DG105. Same specs, but now my contact feels harsh and I can't find the centre of the face. Does that make sense, or am I losing what's left in my mind?
So if you've gone to match swing weights, then it might have got the head a little bit too detached. So the two things could be that the shaft's got a little bit light, and so you just lost the club and lost a bit of the timing that way. Or if you've maintained swing weight, then actually to keep the same proportional feel of the head, as shaft weight drops, so does swing weight a little bit. So if you've overdone the swing weight, then the head gets what I call kind of lead ball in the end of a piece of string. It gets a little bit detached, and you can lose the connection to the club head and lose the timing and the strike. So it's one of those two is likely to be the case.
Niels Axelson, sorry Niels, I skipped over your question. Happy New Year, all three of you. Thank you, Niels. It's so lovely to have you as a regular. What are you most looking forward to during your jolly to the PGA show? Sorry, I added in the jolly.
What am I most looking forward to?
Are you looking forward to the tequila slammers at...
I can't do that. It's many years since James and I'll be able to do that. Yeah. I think actually I'm hopefully going to get some time. We'll hopefully get a bit of camera time with some interesting people. I think if we can leverage some of the positions we have in industry to try and get a few good faces on camera to talk to and get some good info out of. I think now that's kind of what the show is now. It's a lot of pressing flesh, but also reconnecting with friends within industry and trying to glean as much info as possible. We've seen all the products by the time we go from a head point of view, so there might be some interesting shafts. So actually, it's probably getting to speak to some interesting people would be, for me, that would make it a really good show.
What about you, James? Beer, James is saying.
Was that a beer or
beer?
Yeah.
Beer and some good camel. Having a week away from his beagle that wakes him up at 4 a.m. He'll be looking forward to that. That's James's answer, Niels. Flanker Jack says, thank you, brilliant. You are welcome, Flanker Jack. Simon Muggleton, hi guys, question, I'm hitting it well, but aiming right of target. So guessing I'm pulling into online. When I seem to square, I feel I can't turn as much into my right side. Any tips to help? Yes, don't square yourself up. keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it's working. Yeah.
Don't change
Yeah,
it,
I'm
man.
ripping it at the target.
Yeah.
Should I change?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Keep doing it, man.
Yeah.
John Burton just bought a TSR 1.4 hybrid. I want to add the 5 and 6, but should I wait until the GT1's released? The early pics show 2 weights and a different head shape. Not sure I like that.
I can't. I'd love to be able to talk to you about it, but I can't yet. What you've seen potentially is true, and if that is the case, then it does make them a bit more versatile because of where you can shift the weight to. It's not going to be, the TSR1 has been a very good hybrid for keeping a bit of launch and spin and being like a small wood. Is the new version going to be that different other than allowing you to dial the spin up and down should those weight positions be correct? That's really the advantage that might give you, but the TSR one's still a very good head, so you wouldn't be losing out a huge amount.
So here's my question from you, from a golfer. These embargos.
Yeah.
What was the chap's name? What was the chap's name? Let's not do him an injustice. So John's seen it in a magazine.
Yeah.
Or he's seen it
online,
yeah. I mean, we're all YouTubers here. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We've seen enough videos with this stuff on. An embargo's not worth the paper it's written on if someone else down the road has brought it out. Now, I suppose what the Titleist will say, or whoever it is, they'll say, well, we won't supply you with product. Is that what their leverage is for you? Like, for instance, if you just came out now, for instance, and said everything about the next latest release on top, what would it? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What would Titleist do? Would they go, we're not going to give you any Titleist products anymore? Is that what
they do sell quite. We sell quite a lot of it. So
and
actually,
that was sort of where I was going.
And the element of it is that what happened, I think, a couple of years back. Ping did a launch, and they launched in the Southern Hemisphere before the Northern Hemisphere. So Australia were doing reviews, and we weren't allowed to say anything about it. And some of that still goes on, which is ridiculous. It is daft. If you're going to allow people to talk about it, let everyone talk about it. But also don't then leak it. So our frustration is that we're effectively playing the game safe, straight back to a straight ball, and we have to work with them. We don't want to piss them off, and quite frankly, the embargo should be there for everyone to adhere to. The difficulty is when they don't, and quite frankly, you see pictures online. Someone on the tour, like was it SMS on tour, post a picture. You're like, well, it's out there. Everyone knows that the QI35 is the name of it, or the GT1 hybrids have got 2 weights in, or But yeah, I mean, we get a slap on the wrist. But equally speaking, we don't want to negatively affect our relationship with the brands, because we're able to, from a business and operational point of view, if there's a fault with a product, we rely on a good relationship to be able to solve problems as well. Sure. So whilst there's a lot of me that wants to just go, yeah, sod it, let's just talk about it. There's no point in damaging relationships just to do that. But there should just be a case of them saying, like, as of X date, don't release anything. But then the tour players have to play them. People take a photo. You just can't stop the info getting out there. But it is a frustration.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Because I would think a lot of people tuning in and go, well, Wick Shields has done something on the Elite, right? I mean, he's done video on that.
Yeah, I mean, that one, the embargo lifted yesterday for that.
Well, I saw a video on that 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And so Wick Shields...
Was it yesterday, or was it the second? No, it was the second. Sorry,
it
was the second.
Okay.
But they moved it forward.
Right.
So,
okay.
And so it's when someone at one of the brands, our rep at one of the brands said, well, it's meant to be the 14th, but they'll probably shift it to the 13th, and by the 12th, they'll probably shift it forward again. So up until the last minute, there is fluidity to it.
Right, got it.
Daft.
Thought there was a question that you all might be interested in, so I asked the question. Leo Baniak, any Ventus shafts similar to graphite design UB7X?
UB7X, so feel-wise, not quite. The UB's got a little bit more kick through the middle. The graphite design's always going to give you a bit more feel and responsiveness in the mid part of the shaft in particular, other than the VF. The closest to it would probably be the second generation blue, where you do get a bit of feedback through that midsection, but the weight sits just a little bit lighter.
Papa B said, for God's sake, Stuart, eat some chips. You're getting too fit and making us all look bad. Well, let me tell you.
That's why he's wearing black.
Let me tell you, I packed on a little bit over the Christmas period, but I'm leaning down now, back out running. Perry Mason, driver heel strikes. Do I just need to practice with an obstacle outside the path to stop the hands getting away from the body? I do hit up. Well, hitting up means that the club is swinging away from you, but hitting up should mean that the head is coming back in. But again, depends on where you're driving the handle. Usually when you're driving the handle away from you to the right of target is when you push the sweet spot out. Again, so often people will drive the handle in a direction to offset the direction the golf ball is going in. So invariably when the handle is being driven out to the right, it's because they're trying to protect the left, and would go hand in hand with your club head trying to swing past you, because of course the more the club head swings past, the more that face is now going to look to the left. Now, if you're missing the golf ball and the target, should I say, to the left, your instinct is then to start to swing the handle out to the right. And of course, if the club's coming from back here, that club's overtaking you, that face is closing down, your handle is going to try and push out to the right. So just because you're pushing the handle out to the right doesn't necessarily mean that the club head's going to follow you. It just means that you're going to have more chance of moving the sweet spot further away from you. So there's... the more we disassociate, really, if I just move the handle forwards, the club head will follow, and vice versa. It just doesn't work that way. It's honestly, I did a video of an articulated lorry, and what you need to do.
Just moved on from a broom.
I know, right? It's
You've done a new driving license as well.
When you drive an articulated lorry, not that I've done that, but I've driven a few with a trailer on the back with a horse in it. You have to pull the car out so wide to do a left, because there's a pivot point in the middle, and that's the same with the golf club. If you want that club head to move in a certain direction, just because I'm moving the handle forwards doesn't mean that the club head's going in the same direction. So heel strikes are really common with driver, because the shaft is so long, the club head is a long way back, and all of a sudden you're trying to drive it out to the golf ball. So I would first of all shift the ball further back in your stance. That will certainly help you feel like you can start to meet it a bit more in the middle of the face, and hopefully might offset a little bit of a hook if you've got that going on.
You know, I know if I'm getting out that way because my shoulder hurts.
Yeah. Bit of rotator cuff.
Overextending a rotator cuff.
Yeah. John Kelly. Yes, John Kelly. I have the steel fibre I-80 in my ZX4s. Thinking of changing them, not in love with the steel fibres. Would you think MMT85 or the KBS TGI 90 shaft, looking for a little bit more height and distance? It still blows me away every time on here that people know all this data.
MMT, metal mesh technology.
Well, of course it is.
So MMT85s are more tip balanced. So the steel fibres can feel a little dead. That's the one downside to them. They're quite tip stiff, and there's not a lot of feel out of them. The MMTs, you'll feel the club head more because the balance point's down the bottom, but it's still quite a stout shaft. The TGI is a higher balance point, and you might lose a bit of feel for the club head. Again, that can make them feel a little bit hard as well. So of those, the MMT would give you a little bit more feedback, but it might be worth looking at a different shaft altogether if you're looking to get much more feel. Aerotech have just done a new series of the steel fibre, the J series, which the J78 would give you more kick, more flight. But the shaft alone isn't going to make massive difference in terms of how it bends to ball flight. It's more how you're delivering the club head. So something that feels a bit more responsive, allows you to get a little bit more speed, is probably going to do that better.
The Left Rough asks, are sets getting harder to combo with the different spin profiles of heads? Everyone seems to combo the ZX5 with the ZX7, but I seem to do better with the ZX7 straight true, better height, spin, etc.
I think the answer is yes and no. I think there are more heads that don't require a combo now than there used to be. So take a P770, ZX5, T150. There's actually, unless you're looking for substantially more forgiveness at the long iron end, it might be an individual club like a 4-iron. There's actually not a lot of need to combo anymore. But having said that, it's. I think is it getting more complex? I think it's the loft variations that add the complexity. If you're going to a head that's that different in style, you're going to get probably a bit more height, so that counters some of the spin difference. But it's where lofts vary, that's where the complication lies.
Very good. Jamie, no, it's not Daniel Winterbottom. I'm trying to help my brother with a driver he has found that he likes. He swings early 70 miles an hour, but has a dynamic loft of 20 using a 10.5 head. Would you recommend a 9 degree?
Based on that, yeah, I mean, so I'd recommend, depends whether he wants to get some lessons first, because that's going to be the most important thing, to make sure he's delivering it well, and then optimize the clubs. Because if he can get a little bit of technique help and get a stronger impact position, then that's going to do him far more better long-term good than just change. I mean, yes, you can change the loft on the driver if that's just where his swing is, and he doesn't want to go through what some people say the pain of the swing change. But long-term, yeah, there's a lot of added loft going on there. So long-term, I would say a bit of technique where we're doing far more good than necessarily just a club switch at this point.
Daniel, head over to my channel. About 10 or 12 videos ago, I did a video. Thumbnail is The Grip. Get him to watch that. Give him that video instead of buying him a driver. Get him to work on that, and then go buy him a new driver. Because the grip will be one of the biggest attributes to him adding a lot of loft on the golf club, particularly with driver. Nick K, if I cut my ping driver shaft down 0.75 of an inch from 42.25 to 40.5, how much weight do I need to add to the head to maintain the same swing weight? Does ping sell heavier back weights?
Technically, does ping some? Ping won't. Ping are quite particular with the weight. It is possible to get them and possible to interchange them. Ping won't. Yeah, if you're trying to get one, then eBay online would be where you'd find them. But Ping will not sell an individual weight. Just the way that they operate. It would have to be returned to them for them to adjust the weight in most circumstances. Technically, if you take 3/4 inch off, it's about 3 swing rate points. But actually, if you want to retain the same feel, then you don't want to add 3 swing rate points back on. You want to add 1.5 to 2. Just the physics of it and momentum and the way that all works. If you make the static balance the same, it'll swing pretty head heavy. So actually, you'd only want to add 2 or 3 grams back rather than the 4 or 5 that would match the swing weight.
Very good. I feel like someone's writing something on the whiteboard over there. Did I hear that, James, or not? I heard squeak, squeak, squeak. Jamie, that wasn't your hit, by the way. And by the way, we're another year in, and you two still don't have any grey hair. Are you two dyeing it, or what?
Not that I'm aware of. There must be a little bit.
I mean, honestly.
There must be a little bit there.
How old are you?
I'm 44 and 11/12.
44 and 11/12. When's your birthday?
4th of Feb.
What are you? How old are you, James? 46. So I was at home with my. I was at home.
See, he groaned before he said.
I was at home with my wife last night, and I said I was 47 years old. She says, "I've got to tell you, you're not." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You're 48. You're going to be 49 this year." Anyway, we digress.
She can believe what she likes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going with 47. Josh Gunton, don't say that too fast. Are Wilson bringing out any clubs this year?
They are. Actually, I don't know when they lift their embargo, but they are bringing it, and they're good this year. And we will have them in here. We've got the interchangeable sleeve to be able to test with the drivers and the fairway woods. The adjustable ones, actually really good product this year. I didn't say actually as a kind of in any way detrimental to Wilson, but I think this year the product does look really quite good. It's pretty good value as well. The carbon driver and fairway woods look particularly interesting. So yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, Lewis is a Wilson man upstairs. His driver looks tasty.
Yeah, it's good.
It's nice.
And it sits really well. The shape's good. On face value, looks to be solid. I was impressed with the fairway wood in particular.
Fantastic.
But actually, the kind of the standard model driver, the kind of standard one, rather than the kind of super low spin one. But yeah, no, I mean, Wilson have been a big player in golf for years and years and years, and then just kind of forgot who they were for a while.
Yeah.
And it feels like they're starting to remember who they are.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear. Lovely brand. Lorenzo Ciconi, what is your best combine score?
Oh, I haven't done one for years.
No, neither have I.
I wouldn't remember.
No.
I know. I think my kind of handicap was about +4.
Yeah.
I did it. But I wouldn't even. I haven't done one for such a long time. Maybe we ought to do one.
Yeah, we'll do one time.
Not live though.
No. What would you say the average touring pro and or good D1 golfer would shoot for a combine score? Again, depends where you're doing it. If you're doing it on a mat, it will be distinctly different to whether you're doing it on grass. That is first measure. A good combine score for a tour player would be in the late 80s, early 90s. Division 1 golfer, I'd say mid-70s, if you're lucky.
You'd say much easier to get a higher score on a mat.
Yeah. Outside, you probably take 10 off of both of those. Not so much for a tour player, but certainly for a D1 golfer, Division 1 golfer, Jamie Fraser, thank you. Josh Gunton, Happy New Year, boys. The Yorkshire Blade is back. Simon, going to take my Mizuno 2-iron out of the back for winter. Want a 3 hybrid, knock down a degree. What do you recommend?
What flight are you looking for?
Good question. We'll get back to us, Yorkshire Blade, and we'll answer that.
High launch and more wood-like, or stronger flight and more iron-like. Let me know, and then I'll.
HRL's back, Horse Racing Legends. Happy New Year from Glasgow.
HNY to HRL.
Yeah, can't help thinking Callaway may have to pull the new Elite drivers. I've never heard such negative vibes online. Don't think performance can save it.
But I think this is this
like
not
this,
the,
like that,
the
like this.
I mean, granted the consumer says what they think, but actually performance is the most important thing. I know that in shelf appeal, in bag appeal, that stuff, but actually surely where the ball ends up is more important. And I get that, like the green and the silver bits on the bottom, and not everyone's cup of tea. And I think the matte versus the gloss triple diamond to the matte is noticeable. But everyone said the white driver was never going to sell, and that did pretty well. So
he's got a good point there. Come on, I mean, who thought of the
white driver? No one's going to buy that. Well, the blues and the reds that Cobra did. Ultimately, people are more driven by performance now than ever before, and the amount of people over the years I've said, I'm never going one of those. Oh, look, it's gone really well. Okay, I'll have it. I think that will override. People actually do care, but when push comes to shove, if it's the best one, then you're going to buy it.
And do you know who started that trend?
The trend in terms of?
It's all about performance, not what it looks like. Come on. We've got a set of them on the wall.
Oh, the Great Big Berthas. Yeah.
I mean,
or Ping Eye 2, you could
that's right.
Because they were blooming ugly as well, and look how many people bought those.
Exactly. Shovels on the end of a stick, right? I mean, if the thing goes straight, who cares what it looks like? And I think you're absolutely
I think the drivers are more distinctive than the fairways, I think, sit really well. The drivers, the bottoms aren't the prettiest thing they've ever done, but they've gone for the aerodynamics, and that just means potentially some of the structures. Yeah, maybe the next generation might be a little bit neater looking, but on our kind of initial test, the performance is pretty solid on them, and the triple diamond in particular is much safer in terms of spin across the face. So, yeah, I hear you. It's not the prettiest head out there. But I think if they perform well, they'll sell really well. Everyone thought the ALI Smoke looked like a kitchen surface. That still sold really well.
Radhika, our friend and lovely man. Happy New Year, Stuart. Happy New Year, Simon, to the best live online golf channel. What's he after? I'm
seeing him for a fitting in a week or so.
Brilliant. Okay, I'll make sure I'm going to be around for that. Radhika asks, are either of you thinking of changing any clubs in the bag, and why?
So I'm thinking about changing 4-iron. So I currently have 4-iron and 2-iron. So currently have as you can see there, it's a vintage effort. It's a Gen 2 PXG T series. So slightly sort of cavity, and I got an old ZU65 driving iron 2-iron. 2-iron I love, but I know I can get more ball speed out of another head. And the 4-iron hit well, but playing a couple of months back down at Rye, and I hit a shot that struck great, but came out lower than I want it to come out. I'd like to see the flat up a little bit more. Don't want the spin to change, but I want more launch. So those two.
Radhika, no. John Shaw asks,
In a word.
Radhika, I just
Oi,
think...
Radhika,
no, I will not be changing any clubs in my bag. I got myself another putter, and so I'm having to tinker around with putters.
Another one since the...
No. So I've got I've got 2 of them. So I'm enjoying having a fuff around with putters. I've been putting much better. So that's, if I'm going to do anything, I'll be buying more putters. I've not been a buying putter guy ever, but now I'm kind of into putters.
I wanted to change my wedges, but they work really well. I wanted to play something different than Novoki like everyone plays.
Right.
I'm a show off, but they work really well, so I'm not going to change them. Poor technique was the answer.
John Shaw asks, great advice as usual. I have MP245 irons up to the gap wedge and KBS Tour Light S shafts. Thinking of new wedges, 52 and 56, but wondering which shafts to use. Any thoughts?
In the Tour Light stiffs, they're 100 gram. Some players actually suits tracking through, and others playing a little bit heavier. More players than not go a little heavier into the scoring ones. So you could go to something like the KBS, the high rev, the 115. That gives you about a 10 to 15 grams more weight, but keeps the balance pretty similar. That would be, and it's a wedge specific shaft. That would kind of be a natural one to go to, I think.
Rishi asks, I'm struggling with my right leg straightening on the downswing instead of squatting downwards. Any tips?
Assuming you're right-handed.
Assuming right-handed, yeah. Well, if that's what you want to do, it's not something that I would recommend. But in terms of squatting in your downswing with your right leg, that's not where I would go with it. But if you want to encourage more leg flex on the way down, I'll go up to the top and lock your leg out. And then when you pull the golf club, flex your right leg. Then it can only go one way. If it's got some flex in it at the top of your backswing, it's going to push straight. So push it straight at the top as a bit of a drill. Then when you pull it, flex it. At the end of the day, you need to isolate your right leg. And if you're having a problem with doing that, then it's difficult to do in motion. So go to the top, make a bit of a drill of it, hit a swing and pull the club down and flex your right leg. But as I say, I'd be looking a little bit further afield. Check out some of my leg action videos. You might want to reconsider what you're trying to work on there.
For any of you wondering what I was doing a moment ago, I was trying to work out what it felt like to do that, hence the move.
Not a Friday night
not dancing.
gig. NWH, Norwegian Warhound, was wondering if Kate was coming out with any more videos. Recently diagnosed with arthritis and now a bulge in the lower back, particularly interested in strengthening that area. Cheers, guys. Happy New Year.
Well, that sounds like a good request to me. We'll put that request in and see if we can get that film for you.
Absolutely. Gary Satterfield, Happy New Year, guys. I'm not sure if this ever has been asked, but what is your favourite golf movie? Caddyshack. I mean, it's no brainer. Not even. I mean, it doesn't. Happy Gilmore doesn't even get close.
There's a video that immediately swings around Caddyshack. I quite liked. What was one with Kevin Costner? Tin Cup. I quite like Tin Cup.
It's easy to grin when your ship comes in and you've got the stock market beat. But a man worthwhile is a man who can smile when his seat's too tight in the seat. Anyway, that's what they say. Watched it too many times. He would have found it funny. Nobody else did. Nobody else did.
That was Mark, by the way.
Hang on. YouTube's suddenly doing funny.
Yourself,
no, it's doing funny things. There we go. It put me off my beat. Oliver Lloyd, who will you be supporting team-wise in the new TGL Golf? I have no clue.
Honestly, I couldn't care less. I'm interested to see how it works. I haven't got an allegiance in that respect. I want the event to work. I hope it works well and it's worth watching. I just hope it's something that's worth golf doing first and foremost. But as in who wins, I really haven't got an allegiance.
Lorenzo Sassoni, do you have any good drills or videos you've posted to help someone with a cupped wrist and hits everything a mile right? Try to help a desperate friend. Go check out my videos on the grip, and you will rethink having a cupped wrist as a bad thing. It is merely where you have your hands on the golf club, my friend. Bowing wrists is catastrophically bad for you. Miss Ali Nerd, Happy New Year. If one wanted to work through fittings for a full bag over the course of the year, what order would you recommend? It's a great question. Start with irons or other end of bag. Thank you.
So you can do irons always first, but I think irons, because that helps you look at what sort of ball flight progression someone's got, and that then helps to bridge the gap from where you know where your longest iron's going to be at the end of the iron fitting, and then you can work out where you're, let's say, kind of 6 iron, 5 iron, 4 iron, wherever that's going to be. You know the kind of flight someone's working to, and then you can bridge back from driver back to that and strategize what clubs are going to be important to have and what not. Whereas if you're starting at the top end and do woods first, you don't know where the iron flight is or where you end up in terms of distances. You can't actually bridge that gap. Whereas from irons, it's easier to work that way around. So I do irons first and then do the top of the bag.
There is 120 of you online. We'd love to get 120 likes on both of our channels, so do that for us. Our big goal here at Precision Golf is to get 50,000 subscribers this year. To make that happen for us, share this stream. We would love you to do that. A little payback for us. John Burton, he says, I saw the pics of the GT1 hybrid on the USGA conforming list.
But then and this is part of the thing. It's got to be on there. Yeah. And once it's conforming, the USGA have to post it. So
like a homologation list, right?
Yeah, to prove it's conforming. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, keep a secret, but we've got to put it out there in the same time. Yeah. So if you ever want to find out what's new coming out, USGA conforming list or the
conforming list, or actually just look at like someone like SMS on tour, because they'll be looking in the tour bags. The tour bags will be so they'll have to be conforming and prove conforming first before the tour players will allow them. So yeah, the conforming list would be the first place.
Mr. McCarthy, hi. Can you tell me what higher end shaft would have similar profile to a Diamana Kiali White?
So the Kiali White, the closest one, probably the Tensei Pro White. It's going to be a smoother feel. It's a Mitsubishi one as well, so that's going to be the closest in profile. I mean, the white profile, whether it's the Diamana whiteboard, the Kiali, and the Tensei Pro, the principles are all the same, but the Diamana, the balance is different. The Tensei's the Kiali is going to be the most tip heavy than the Tensei than the Diamana, but the whiteboard profile retains all the way through.
Tom Smitzer, Simon.
Yes.
Address your distance to ball seems funny long.
Yeah.
I mean, now I have a little bit. In the challenge, you even had your club head like a full clean.
Yeah.
This is it. You're increasing it. Are you aware of this?
Not consciously, but if it's increasing, then it's probably because I need to do a bit more swing work.
We've all got a little bias.
I do pull the club in a little bit more as I get towards taking the club away, so it's not as far away as it looks. I mean, it is, but it's not as far as it looks because I pull in a little bit. Yeah. However, I've done it for years. So the better I swing it, the less I do it.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I think I get a little bit out of sync. I know I'm a little bit out of sync because I feel a little bit separated, and by doing that, I then put the club goes towards the ball a little bit more. Never suffered shanks though.
He goes on to say, any thoughts any thoughts on how you've developed that? Well, you've just answered that. How do you manage to get centre from there?
Ultimately, I guess it's just a compensation that I've made over the years. I've hit so many thousands of balls that I just instinctively stand that whatever distance is right away from it, and then as I'm hitting shots, it'll kind of probably adapt very slightly day to day just to find middle of the face.
I mean, this is one of the first evenings where people haven't said any chance you could test this and that, but I suppose it's coming to the new equipment season, isn't it? Mr. Tightless, Happy New Year, men. Happy New Year to you, Mr. Tightless. Great to have you back, of course. No question from as far I'm playing pretty. No question from as I'm playing pretty well of late. No question
from me.
Yeah. Well, especially since your tip on lighter grip. Well, you're welcome. I've had no more heavy shots on the soft ground.
Oh, fantastic.
You know what that is, don't you? Good coaching. Jamie Fraser.
I haven't had any heavy shots on the soft ground. I haven't played.
Jamie Fraser asks, how would you describe an ADDI 6 iron orange driver? No. An ADDI 6 orange. Is that a shaft?
Yeah.
Oh,
so the DI, the one that the Graphite Design, the orange and white one. That's the really famous one. So
so let me ask a full question. How would you describe an AD DI6 driver shaft profile versus a Ventus red and then Ventus black? Struggle with starting direction to the right in 24 off the tee using the Ventus. Practice more.
So the profile of the shaft isn't going to affect your start line. It's going to be the weight and the balance. So the profile of the DI is, if I can grab this just to help. So the DI is fairly stable on the tip, but it's softer in the midsection. So in terms of a curve, you've got sort of mid, softer mid, so a bit stiffer than mid. The Ventus red, is it the TL or the standard red? Is it 24 Ventus? Either way. Ventus
24.
Red is 24. So Ventus red is sort of mid to soft butt, mid to centre section, softer tip, so designed for higher spin. And then the black is actually slightly softer in the butt section, but very stable in the bottom third. So it's more going to be where the weight sits as to how that affects your delivery rather than the way the shaft bends. The way the shaft bends won't affect the left and right start line in the grand scheme of things. It's just, does the club suit you or not, and the balance points suit you. So, but if anything, the DI, I would say, swings a little bit more tip heavy than both of those shafts. Maybe the red's similar. So it's going to be more the build and whether that shaft suits you than the profile.
Very good. Very good. I've lost where I'm at now.
DI orange.
Yes, DI orange. Brilliant. The Yorkshire the Yorkshire Blade. He's come back with, it'd like his hybrid, more like an iron. More like an iron.
Okay. So ones that have been good for that. I mean, if you're looking for mid spin, I mean, actually the TaylorMade, the Tour series, that's quite good for an iron player. To play it more like an iron, keeps the launch down a bit, but retains a bit of spin. Not too bomber-like. The TSR3 was pretty low spin, so that could come out like a bit of a cannon. Same with the Callaway ones. I would say actually the TaylorMade, very, very good for an iron-like player. Yeah.
Like it. Like it. Gary Satterfield. Stu, how easy is it for you to adapt your swing to a club that is totally not fitted for you within a swing? Pretty much. But I wouldn't want to go out and play with it, of course, but I could adapt, and Simon would be the same. I think most golfers would, a good player, knowing his onions about what he's seeing on the screen and stuff, you do it in one swing. That, of course, and you've said this before, that's the problem. You get a good player, they can sort of find a way. And I'm guessing that you don't want to get that club in their hand for too long, right?
No.
You've almost got like
2 to 3 swings max.
Yeah, that's it, right, before they start adapting.
But as you say, that what the player's doing is adapting to when the club arrives with them and adjusting their timing and balance to deliver it. So I will be managing how I use my hands and arms through the ball mainly. Either quieten them off or pull harder on the shaft, and that's just an instinctive reaction. Yeah.
Ewan McCarthy asks, if I was to put an Acra TZ6ST shaft from my TSI into a Ping G430 LST, should I expect similar performance? Would it differ? Alternatively, what shaft would have similar profile as Acra?
So the ST is very tip heavy. Is a very tip heavy profile. It's designed around kind of the lowest spin of the TZ6 series. So the ST is the stiff tip. But the balance point's much more on the bottom end. So if you put an LST on the end, the LST is quite a heavy head, so the swing weight could go through the roof. So be very, very careful of that. If you're looking for a similar shaft profile to the ST, the 6ST, then I would say, let me think, I would go. I mean, Ventus Black isn't a million miles off. It's a little bit harder feeling. The VF, Graphite Design, that would be another one that would be similar in that respect. You're looking for something very stiff tip, essentially.
My wingman very kindly reminded me that I missed out KPs and Mr. McIntosh's questions. My apologies. Senior moment. Currently using a Titleist CB710S. Am I missing out on tech gains with a similar type of iron?
I mean, a similar type of iron. The only thing you're missing out on now, I mean, the CB is a single-piece forge. There are some heads that have a bit of similar construction. Don't use the face, but have a bit of tungsten heel and toe. So maybe like a TaylorMade, the CB head. So that just helps mitigate a little bit of off-center strike, but you're not gaining tech. So you'd have to go to a head that has a faster face to gain ball speed, but it might affect the feel. So it depends what's more important to you. I haven't changed from blades for years, other than in my long irons. So it might just be the long irons where there's a gain in terms of achieving ball speed progression by going to a head with more tech. So are you losing out a lot? Not a lot, but a little bit.
We've got 5 minutes to go in the show. We're going to try and get through as many of the questions as we possibly can. Peter McIntosh, hi guys, have you ever both done a fitting with both of you at the same time? With the expertise of you both from a fitting and a coaching perspective, great show, keep it up. No.
No,
and I don't think it would work.
I don't think we'd do that. I think I'd rather someone, I wouldn't mix the two, because ultimately you're going to filter, you're going to take away the benefits of both bits, because what's the player focusing on? Yeah.
Nice idea though, nice idea.
It is useful sometimes to have coaches here to explain what the player's trying to achieve.
Yeah.
That side, but I wouldn't want a lesson and a fit at the same time.
Matt M asks, with a wood fitting, are you able to provide a selection of shafts for a Callaway mini driver? Currently use one, however, would be keen on seeing if that was the best option of a new driver completely.
Yeah, certainly. Certainly the shafts we got cut actually for fairway wood length are perfect for the mini driver. They come out spot on stock length of 43 3/4. So we use those for our mini driver fittings.
Gary says, did Simon show up to work New Year's Day as early as you did, Stu? No, I wasn't actually at work. I just so I put out a video. And people, no, I just had that pre-recorded. Nobody was in here New Year's Day.
No, I was up feeding the dog at 6:30 a.m.
Yeah, good times. Yeah. Mark Blass, 49. Hello, gentlemen. Good evening, Mark. Any benefits, detriment in playing the same shafts on irons or your wedges?
So some players it suits. So if you're kind of quiet arms and very kind of dead arm body turn, then actually playing the same shaft irons into wedges, we do see relatively regularly for that kind of swing style, but probably 70%, 75% go a little bit heavier for the partial swings. Just the way the mass works helps you down to the bottom of the ball.
Jamie Fraser says, Tink up. The left rough says, how much spin would you see bending a one-piece forged head 1 or 2 degrees weak?
2 degrees, you'd gain about 300 to 400 revs on spin.
Daniel Winterbottom, thanks for your help earlier. I love the grip series, but have an issue where at the top I turn the hips first and end up early extending swing. Any suggestions? The hip turn won't be the cause of your early extension. It will be your handle track. Go check out my handle path and pressure on the handle and my broom series. That will sort you out.
Shakira.
Tubezilla, why TrackMan over GC Quad for indoor fitting bay?
We've got the depth of ball flight to get the benefit from TrackMan, and we've been going, this is our 20th, we've just gone through 20 years, and TrackMan got measured spin indoors first of anybody on the balls, and so that's when we switched to TrackMan, and so we've stayed with them ever since. They're both great bits of kit. They both measure things slightly differently, but we are so well versed in TrackMan now that it would be pointless, and the cost of changing now when there'd be no real tangible gain to how we do things, it just isn't appropriate.
James Denny, is Dynamic Gold X100 any different to S300? Difference must be tiny as both weigh the same.
They are, they're very, very similar, but the X100 is slightly stiffer through the midsection.
Jamie Fraser, awesome. Thanks, guys. Great stream. You're welcome. Peter McIntosh, YouTube missed KP and me. YouTube didn't miss them. I did. But our man in the van told me that I did. And, we got one last question come in. Can you recommend one swing thought to use when a round begins to go to rubbish mid-round? Can you recommend one swing thought to use when a round begins to go to rubbish? Oh, yes, light grip pressure. Reduce your grip pressure, free it up, you're getting tight, you're going well. Grip pressure, keep it light. That's the only thing that's changed. Or
keep it light, like it.
Or think of England. Well, we did it.
Yeah.
Our first show of 2025.
Questions.
Now, give me one golfing. What's it called?
Goal?
No.
I don't know.
Resolution.
A golfing resolution. It's probably not a golfing one. I need to get fit. As in, like gym fit.
Yeah.
Yes. metabolism and mobility won't carry me through much longer. So I just need to get fitter. That will help my golf. Practice wedges more.
Yeah. My goal is though, I want to get 115 by July with my driver speed. Yeah. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed our show this evening. This is
miles an hour.
We do this every Monday night at 6 p.m. We're going to have lots of guests. We're going to do some live shows. We've got so much new content coming, not only on Precision Golf website, YouTube channel, and also Good Golf Coaching's YouTube channel. And of course, do check out Precision Golf's new website as well. Got loads of great new imagery on there, and it's a really sexy site to show off this sexy venue. From Simon, James and I, we thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. You have a good golfing week, and may the force be with you.